and welcome to On Spec, the podcast that does slow journalism, the kind that takes time, telling stories that make you think, feel, and act to do good beyond your own borders. My name is Nafisa Haji, and I'm your guest host for this season, Lethal Dissent, Iran's Hunt for its Citizens Abroad. In our last episode, Operatives, we learned of a kidnapping ring operating in a small town outside of Istanbul. Two competing kidnapping rings, actually, the victim being a former officer in the Iranian Navy who fled Iran because he refused to join in Iran's efforts to help Bashar al-Assad in Syria's civil war. The kidnappers weren't very competent. They were caught in a sting operation and ended up standing trial. But the wildest details are still to come. Join me as we tune in to Fariba Nawa on a visit to the kidnapping victim himself in Lethal Dissent, Iran's Hunt for its Citizens Abroad, Episode 6, Woman from the CIA.
We're here in a park.
My house is near to this park.
This is where Rezaie comes to get away from life's stresses, like his near kidnapping he's been telling me about. We find a bench, sit down, and he begins telling me about the moment his would-be kidnappers, the Sağlams, asked him to get in their car. Even though Rezaie knew better, he still got into the BMW. Ehsan Sağlam had told Rezaie that he and his cousins wanted him to get in the car so they could take a picture together. Now Rezaie was sitting in the back seat next to the family boss, Ehsan Sağlam. Ehsan was wearing a black suit.
که ما اگر اینجا می‌خواستیم تو رو بدزدیم اینجا ترکیه است به راحتی ما تو رو اینجا می‌دزدیم.
Ehsan said if we wanted to kidnap you, we could do so easily. This is Turkey. We could get someone to throw you in a potato sack in the trunk for $10,000.
اینجا ما مافیا داریم فلان داریم اگر می‌خواستیم یعنی حالا حرفشون چی بود که آره ما نمی‌خوایم
We could work with the mafia. We don't want to kidnap you.
اصلا خودمون نمی‌اومدیم یه پول می‌دادیم به یه نفر دیگه.
This was hard to believe. Now he was surrounded by the Sağlams. Then, from the driver's seat, Ismail mentions the one person who confused Rezaie the most. She wasn't a Sağlam. She was Catherine, an American woman. The first time Rezaie heard her name was from Hakan, the chef who couldn't cook, in the kebab shop. He said, I have a friend named Catherine with a boat. Catherine wanted to sail to Greece, but she needed a captain for her boat. Hakan and his cousins suggested, why don't you be the captain? But Rezaie was skeptical. I said, I don't know anything about this boat. They said it's docked in Tuzla. You can go there and see it. Tuzla is a harbor town about an hour drive from Istanbul. Rezaie pushed for more details about the boat. I finally got some specifics. The country, its flags, its IMO number. An IMO number is like a license plate for boats. All sea vessels have one. IMO stands for International Monitor Organization.
از طریق دوستانم که هنوز شناسه IMO من فعال نیست. اونا مال اونا فعال بود چک کردم دیدم
He says, I checked in with friends to see if the boat existed. And it did. It was a cargo ship. Rezaie's friends in the Iranian Navy were able to look it up. It was owned by a cargo company and flew an American flag, he says. This seemed like a good sign. And so he agreed for the Sağlams to set up a meeting with Catherine. When Catherine showed up at the kebab shop, she was with two of the Sağlams.
My picture.
Rezaie shows me a selfie Ismail took.
Catherine and me.
Oh, that's on her. In it, Rezai's standing next to Catherine. He's giving a thumbs up. Everyone's smiling. Catherine is a white woman with platinum blonde hair and prominent cheekbones. She's wearing a crisp white button-down shirt and torn jeans. She's beautiful in that American model kind of way. Rezaie says Catherine told him what he had already heard from the Sağlams, that she owned a boat that could take him to Greece, that she needed a captain.
باز مثلا یه جورایی به قول معروف چیز کرد که آره من
Catherine told me she would pay whoever captained her boat $10,000 a month. She said I could even work for her once I got to Greece. She told me these things.
بعد از اینکه رفتیم یونان ادامه سفر رو هم واسه من کار کنیم. بله کاترین صحبت که میکرد.
It seemed too good to be true. So Rezaie did some more research. He says a boat's IMO number can be used to discover all sorts of information.
من بهشون گفتم کشتی تو توزلا نیست چون تو آیما.
You can check the location, they told him. So Rezaie did. Catherine and the Sağlams had told him the boat was in Tuzla.
توزلا نیست تو بشیکتاشه. آره.
The boat is not in Tuzla, Rezaie says. It was about 60 miles away from Tuzla.
You got suspicious because this is where your profession, you're an expert in this. You knew, you were looking on the internet and you could see the boat's plate number, basically.
He cuts me off and says, you can't look that kind of stuff up on the internet, but you can see it as a naval officer. My friend in Iran who works for the Navy, he has access to that. Rezaie knew something was off. And yet, despite this, when the Sağlams were trying to coerce him into the back seat of their BMW, he still got in the car. He was trying to stay calm sitting next to Ehsan when Ismail, the English-speaking Sağlam, mentioned Catherine. He told Rezaie, there's something you should know about Catherine. He said that Catherine was an agent from the CIA, and she hired them to take me to the consulate. Rezaie says he didn't know what to think, so he told Ismail the truth. I told Ismail, at this point, I'm having a hard time trusting you. Then Rezaie tried to negotiate. I told him, look, I need my documents, my money. I need to change my clothes. I'm not ready to go yet.
در قفل کردن و همین صحبت شد که اینجوریه ما اگر می‌خواستیم الان چیکار می‌خوای بکنیم.
But then Ehsan locked the door.
قفل فلان گفتم به هر حال میتونین تست کنین اگر واقعاً.
He said, now that the door is closed, are you going to run? They were taunting me. I said, if you start driving, I can bang on the windows and cause a scene. But this didn't seem to worry the Sağlams. Erdal, the cousin in the passenger seat, pulled out a taser. He played with it. It sparked. He pointed to the taser and said in Turkish, we don't want to force you. But then Erdal spoke again, this time in Farsi.
3-4 مرتبه بیشتر شاید اینو به من گفت که محمد فرار کن از یالووا برو اصلا اینجا نمون.
Erdal told me to flee Yalova. He said, don't stay here. Whether you come with us or not, you should flee Turkey. He said it 3 or 4 times. None of the other Sağlams could speak Farsi, and the leader of the pack, Ehsan Sağlam, got mad that Erdal was saying something to Rezaie that he could not understand. He demanded Erdal translate. Rezaie says this emboldened him.
شما داری من عصبی میکنی من یه کاری نکنین که فردا هم من نیام فلان.
I started getting angry and said I would return tomorrow if they let me go now. I told them I had little to lose, and that part I was honest about. I was trying to save my life at this point.
میگن ولی شاید مثلا اگر بیان و اصرار بکنم باهاشون با کشتی برم قبل از اون شب.
It worked. They let him go. It's not entirely clear why. Rezaie grabbed his bike and started riding. The Sağlams stalked him in the BMW, following him all the way home. Then they peeled off. Was it really possible? An American somehow got mixed up in a kidnapping operation for Iran, one of the United States' biggest adversaries? Later on, after Rezaie went to the police, a local court in Yalova asked Catherine to give a statement about Mohammad Rezaie's claims. I've got her statement right here. She says, I was in Turkey for business. Ehsan had business in Yalova, so I went with him to Yalova for sightseeing. I saw this person named Mohammed at the place where we went to have dinner. She goes on to explain that she didn't know about Mohammad Rezaie ahead of time. She just happened to meet him at the kebab shop. She tells the prosecutor she talked to Rezaie. She says, he told me to help him find a job. We did not discuss taking him to America or any other country. For someone the Sağlams claimed worked for the CIA, it was not hard to find Catherine's phone number. Before calling, I did a little research. We're not going to use Catherine's last name because she was not indicted in the Yalova kidnapping plot. she was called in by the local prosecutor to make a statement, then released and allowed to leave Turkey. According to public records, she lives in Texas. On LinkedIn, she claims to work in oil and gas, but doesn't name an employer. It seems she's also the manager of a cosmetic surgery practice in Texas. You can see her photo on their website. A background check on Catherine shows no arrests. In 2011, she appeared in Dallas County Municipal Court to plead guilty to a traffic offense, speeding. That's it. None of these details explain how she might get caught up in an Iranian kidnapping operation on the other side of the world. So I dial her number. It's ringing. I wait. She doesn't pick up. I send her a message telling her who I am. It's the evening in Istanbul. I go make dinner. Then my phone rings. It's Catherine. I pick up. You're not going to hear Catherine. The U.S. Federal Communications Commission doesn't just let you call people up, record them, and air it without their knowledge or permission. I can report on the conversation, though. I got exact quotes. An actor will perform them. After I answer the phone, I ask Catherine about her statement and the Yalova court records. She's caught off guard.
I don't know. What is this case saying about me? I'm so confused.
Likewise, I say. I tell Catherine the court documents say she met Rezaie at the kebab restaurant, and the meeting was orchestrated by the Sağlams. I tell her they were trying to use your name and you being an American as a way to win Rezaie's trust, when in reality, they wanted to turn him over to the Iranian government. They were working for the Iranian regime.
I only spoke to the guy literally like 2 minutes, but I only know what I was told. So I was told that the guy was in the military and he ran away from the military and left his family and children in Iran. And the government was wanting him so they could deport him back.
Catherine said the Sağlams told her Rezaie deserted his family, and they asked for her help to try to convince Rezaie to do the right thing.
Could I talk to the guy and just get him to talk to me and they would get him to go back?
Whoa, this is not what Catherine said in her statement to the prosecutor in Yalova. In that statement, she said the meeting with Rezaie was happenstance and that they, quote, did not discuss taking him to America or any other country. I want to clarify with Catherine what the Sağlam family told her. I say, oh, so the Iranian regime wanted Rezaie to go back?
No, they told me the Turkish government wanted him to go back because he was there illegally.
That's not how deportation works in Turkey. The Turkish police don't hire civilians to try to persuade undocumented immigrants to return to their countries of origin. They raid their homes and take them to a detention center and then process their deportation. It's not a choice. Also, Rezaie was not an undocumented immigrant. He was a refugee, which is a classification bestowed by the Turkish government and protected by law. Catherine doesn't seem to know any of this. She explains why she talked with Rezaie.
I was like, why? Why would he leave his family? This is really bad. He needs to go back. This is what I was told. So when I talked to the guy, I just said, why are you wanting to leave? You have family, don't you? I think he said he had 2 or 3 children. And so literally I said, don't you miss your kids, your wife? And you need to go back.
Over the course of our conversation, Catherine repeats this claim 17 times, that she told Rezaie he should go back to Iran because of his kids. Rezaie actually only has one son with his first wife, who divorced him after he fled Iran. But lots of what she thought about Rezaie could have been misinformation from the Sağlams. It's hard to know for sure. I asked Catherine how she knew the Sağlams.
Actually, I knew them from Africa.
Africa? Can you tell me a little more about that?
Yeah, I worked with United Nations, and they actually came over to purchase some things from one of the governments there.
What were they purchasing?
Well, I have no idea.
Catherine's LinkedIn page doesn't say anything about the UN. It says she's in the oil and gas industry. And then there's the cosmetic surgery practice that she supposedly manages. I ask her, and you have a business?
No, I work for the United Nations, and my partner is with the United Nations as well. So whenever people come over to the country, he's the one that picks them up and welcomes them in and takes care of them.
She says Asan was her partner, though at first it's not clear if she means business partner or romantic partner, or maybe both. Catherine tells me they met in 2019 and that she got to know Ehsan and his cousin Ismail in Africa. In which part of Africa? I ask. There's a silence.
All over Africa.
Was it like South Africa?
I go from Nigeria to Uganda to Rwanda to Congo. I go everywhere.
Which UN organization do you work for? Do you still work for the UN?
No.
I offer some examples of UN agencies. The World Food Program, the UN Development Program.
It was the World Forum.
We asked the UN World Forum for Development and Planning if Ehsan Sağlams or Catherine ever worked for them. No. They said their names have never been in their system. Ehsan Sağlams has a defense contracting firm called Buy Sağlams that sells weapons. We know this from court documents. Also, you can just go to their website. But Catherine says they weren't in Africa to sell weapons. I ask her what business they were doing.
I don't know. I wish I knew.
So you did try to get more information from them.
I didn't really try to get more information because I really didn't care, because it's, if it's none of my business, I really don't care ever. I don't get into people's business.
What Catherine is telling me is not adding up. How does someone work for the UN or do business with the UN or do business at all without knowing what that business is? Either she's hiding something or she was completely unaware of what was going on. She says when they would all go for dinner, the Sağlams and their friends would speak in Turkish, which she couldn't understand. So she'd check out.
Like I said, if they spoke, most of the people that came didn't speak English, so I stayed on my phone.
Both Rezaie and the court records mentioned that Catherine was Ehsan Sağlam's girlfriend. Even Ehsan claimed this in his court testimony.
We're business partners, but okay.
Catherine denies it. It's hard to pin down what Catherine means. At one point, she tells me she really wanted to do business with Ehsan, but that he didn't have the money to invest. At another point, she says she was a member of an anti-human trafficking organization called Saving Jane, and that she was researching human trafficking in Africa. I ask her, but there was no romantic relationship between you guys?
I don't think that is important at all.
Whether they had a romantic relationship or not, it doesn't seem that Catherine knew who these guys were. I ask her, so you had no idea that this was an espionage situation and that, these guys were working not for the Turkish government, but the Iranian government?
Oh my God, no, I had no idea.
They never mentioned to you that they were telling Mohammed Rezaie that they were going to...
Never.
Right.
And if they would have, I would have been like, whoa, why? Why would you do this? What's going on? That sounds like it's not the truth, what you're saying, but not one time. And if they did, it was in Turkish. Like I said, I didn't understand them.
That must have been difficult. I bet you have, no idea how you landed in the middle of this.
I stayed on my phone literally all the time.
So now that I'm telling you all this, how do you feel?
I'm freaked out a bit because even when I was talking to the guy didn't seem remorseful about his family or sad. It seemed like the few minutes I spoke to him, like he was lying about something. So, I don't know. Sometimes refugees lie to stay in one country or another. I don't know. But I don't know his story. All I know is that, I just felt sad for his wife and children, not for him because he deserted them.
I tell Catherine the prosecutor's accusations that the Sağlams were part of an Iranian kidnapping ring in Yalova, that an Iranian dissident named Mash'ali Firouzeh was kidnapped, and that Rezaie was next on the list of targets.
Who were these people? I mean, that's scary to me.
I agree with her. They are scary. They're all brothers and cousins, I tell her, and they were supposedly going to use your boat. Do you have a boat?
Yeah, I used to have a boat.
What happened to the boat?
Oh, I sold the boat.
Was it here in Turkey?
No.
So you never had a boat in Turkey?
No.
I want to make sure Catherine understands what I'm saying, so I repeat myself. I tell her that the Sağlams tried to convince Rezaie that she owned a boat and that with her help as an American, she cuts me off.
Why would I say this lie? He just needs to go back to his family. I'm so confused right now.
Over the course of our hour-long conversation, Catherine repeats that she's so confused several times. She's not the only one. Talking with Catherine felt like entering an alternate reality. Her version of events was radically different from Rezaie's and also what was in the court records. Was she in on the whole operation? Or did the Sağlams manipulate and exploit her? I can't tell, so we keep talking. I ask her how she would describe herself. I'm just trying to figure out how to refer to you in the most accurate way, I say. There's a long pause.
I have no idea.
A businesswoman, is that how you describe yourself when you meet people?
Yeah, I would say a businesswoman.
Okay.
I'm a mom, a caring person.
A mother?
Yeah, I am a mother.
How many kids do you have?
I have 2. My oldest son was killed.
I tell her I'm so sorry to hear that and ask what happened.
He was killed by a drunk driver, so.
How old was he?
25.
When did this happen?
This about 4 or 5 years ago.
Catherine says after her son died, she suffered several strokes and heart attacks. I'm so sorry, I tell her. And she tells me she's not a bad person.
I am like in no means to try to be ugly to anyone, ever in my whole life. If anything, I try to help everyone.
I'm not accusing you of anything, I tell her. I just want to know what happened. I ask Catherine what she thinks about the Sağlams.
They are really, I thought, was genuinely kind and nice. I never felt unsafe and never felt in danger. They never were angry or aggressive toward me. All of them were really nice, genuinely really kind people. So I feel bad that they got wrapped up and sucked into bad things for money.
You think that's why they would do it?
Yeah, absolutely. Because they are, they're always very well dressed. They speak well, it's I don't know. It's very frustrating when you think that you know people. I mean, I still don't doubt they're very kind. I would still be their friend.
You'll still want to be friends with them despite what happened?
Absolutely.
When my producer called Catherine to fact check what she told me, she said, I've already told your reporter everything I had to tell them. When he asked if she understood she has a prominent role in the story being aired, she said, I didn't have a prominent role because I have done nothing. I don't even know what the hell is going on. And then she hung up. We messaged Catherine a detailed list of the assertions she made and others made about her. She reiterated her comments from our interview and called the claims about her by the Sağlams and Rezaie, he said, she said, lies. We reached out to members of her family to verify her claims, but didn't hear back. We talked with someone who heard all about Rezaie's conversation with Catherine right after it happened. Their account of what Rezaie told them matches what Rezaie told us. We agreed not to identify this person because they fear for their safety. It's also worth noting that Rezaie's story matches his court testimony. We asked Saving Jane if Catherine ever worked for them. They said Catherine approached them about a possible program in 2018, but they didn't do it. We asked the CIA twice if Catherine works for them. They didn't reply. After Rezaie escaped from the BMW, he rode his bike home. The next morning, he went to the police with a friend who spoke Turkish.
دادم تلفنمو چیز واتساپ نمیدونم عکس‌ها رو بهشون نشون دادم.
He says I showed and explained everything. I showed the pictures, the WhatsApp messages. He's talking about the WhatsApp messages with the Sağlams and the pictures he took with them.
گفت که آره این خانومه یه خانومی هست به اسم کاترین و اون گفته که من مأمور CIA هستم و
I told the police the Sağlams were claiming to work for someone in the CIA.
بعد این قسمت که شد دیگه اینا یه مقدار کلانتری و اینا حواسشون بعد یکی زنگ زدن به تلفن کردن.
Then we stayed at the station answering questions until 3 a.m.
بعد دیگه کسای دیگه اومدن.
Police from different cities and branches of the Turkish government showed up. They pulled up pictures of the Sağlams.
این پرونده رو شکایت رو
But the local police gave Rezaie some unsolicited advice. He says, one of the police officers told me these guys seem to have a history of crime. Let the case go. Don't press charges.
درگیر بشی.
The police told me I shouldn't press further on this issue, that these guys are not the kind of guys you want to go after. Even my translator got scared. But then a week later, Turkish intelligence officers got in touch with Rezaie.
و بعدن که استخبارات از آنکارا اومد گفت که شکایت تو انجام دادی فلان گفتم که نه واقعیتش من
When the intelligence officers came from the capital, Ankara, they asked if I had pressed charges, and I said no.
با هم سریع رفتیم دوباره امنیت و اونجا به رئیس امنیت گفت یکی از پرسنل شما اینجوری گفته شکایت نکن.
Then we went to the local authorities together, and the intelligence officers argued that I should.
یه مقدار ترسید گفت ممکنه.
So then this case became bigger than just you.
Yeah, but I started it. As he says this, Rezaie smiles. The next evening, Rezaie returned to the Sağlams, just as he told them he would. They met in front of a mall.
اینجا
It's a tiny mall compared to what we're used to in Istanbul.
The same place where we're parked now, talking.
Not the fanciest. اینجا جا پارکینگه؟
بله.
Only on that night, undercover cops were shadowing Rezaie. Ismail Sağlam pinged him on WhatsApp. Where's your suitcase? He asked. Ismail could see Rezaie, but Rezaie couldn't see Ismail. Who are the two men following you? Ismail asked. He was referring to the undercover cops who were clearly not undercover enough. Rezaie was walking around outside the mall. He changed directions and lost the cops. There was still a part of him that wanted to believe Ismail.
99% از ذهن من
My mind was 99% convinced that this is a ruse and it's impossible. But humans try to convince themselves that maybe there's a chance. Maybe there's a 1% chance. Ismail asked Rezaie why he called the police.
اگر مطمئنین که من گفتم که قاعدتاً دیگه نباید حرفی داشته باشیم.
Rezaie replied, if you think I went to the police, why are you even here?
کرد که کاترین خیلی ناراحته. کاترین از این قضیه.
Catherine is very upset that you told the police, Ismail says to Rezaie. He tells him, the U.S. Embassy doesn't want to get involved with the Turkish police, nor does the CIA.
و CIA مأموریتاش رو به ترکیه و پلیس ترکیه اطلاع نمیده.
Then Ismail Sağlam tries one more time to get Rezaie alone. He tells him to walk to the bridge on the highway, but Rezaie would not. The Sağlams operation was over. The court documents support Rezaie's version of events. With license plate readers, the authorities were able to track the cars the Sağlams used. They gathered CCTV footage, seized telecommunication data to pinpoint their locations in Yalova. And after Turkish authorities began arresting people, they found a couple of the suspects hadn't erased their WhatsApp chats about the operation. Oops. It took years for the authorities to assemble the case against the kidnapping operation in Yalova and to establish its ties to Iran. In February 2022, 2.5 years later, they arrested the Sağlams. But they weren't the only ones who got handcuffs. The authorities had burrowed deep into the underworld network that surrounded the Sağlams. They found a shady prosecutor and people connected to the most shadowy parts of Iran's government. They detained everyone, hauled them in for questioning, but couldn't crack them, mostly. When investigators zeroed in on one man at the center of the operation and brought him in for questioning, he confessed.
I'm Nafisa Haji. Lethal Dissent is reported by Fariba Nawa, reporting in Turkey by Beril Eski. The series is produced by Chris Harlan Dunaway. Our editor is Ibi Caputo. Additional research by Umar Farouk, fact-checking by Beril Eski and John Klepotowski. Özge Sebzici is our photographer and multimedia producer. Artwork for the podcast is by Hatice Garib. Musical score and sound design by Uzair Ahmed. Legal review by Eric Brass. This story wouldn't be possible without support from the Pulitzer Center and Radio Zamaneh. Thank you to our partners, The Verge and PRX. Special thanks to executive producer for The World, Dan Lothian, and managing editor for The World, Tinku Ray, our friend ER, Shahnam Gulshani, Adnan Devrim, Hamish Brown, Kate Ellis, Stephen Smith, Levi Bridges, Banu Azizian, Adisha Azizian, Yithan Ujair, Rishad and Alan at Splice Media, and to the Iranians who helped us whose full names we can't use for security reasons. Thank you, HM, AM, and MB. Nafisa Haji.
On Spec returns in 2 weeks.
In Lethal Dissent, Iran's Hunt for its Citizens Abroad. Episode 7, Verdict. Keep listening, and don't forget we need you as a Patreon subscriber. Go to onspecpodcast.com and become a member to help support our next season. Also, please follow us and let us know what you think on Twitter at OnSpecStories, on Instagram at OnSpecPodcast, and on Facebook at OnSpecPodcast. If you have the time, please do rate or review On Spec on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your podcasts.